Life is too short to spend your time and energy on people who don't deserve your light.
Today, we're sharing the 7 most important areas of life to simplify. Life can go through phases of getting overly complicated or even overwhelming at times. Things can feel like they're piling up and like you desperately need a refresh to get your head above water again. It's times like these that simplifying is immensely helpful. Stripping things back to basics can lighten the load on your chest and make life a whole lot easier. So today we're sharing the 7 most important areas of life to simplify and ways you can start feeling lighter in these key areas of life.
First up, finances. So much of life can be made easier or harder based on how complicated your finances are to navigate. If you don't know where your money is going each month, or if your rent or mortgage will be paid, life gets a whole lot more difficult. So plotting out a simple way to track your spending and plan for your biggest expenses is key if you want to simplify your life in one of the most powerful ways possible. A budget is one of the best tools you can use to track and record money in and out. So if you feel like your finances are all over the place and you want to breathe a little easier when it comes to planning and paying for future life goals, then a budget is a great first step in simplifying your finances. The exact one Josh and I have used for many years is linked below if you want to check that out. Whatever way you budget, whether it's through a pen and paper, an app, or a spreadsheet like us, just make sure it's as simple as possible. Budgeting doesn't need to be, nor should it be, complicated. It's just for you. It's just there to make your life easier and not for anyone else's eyes. So do what works best for you. Just include your money in and out, even keeping it as simple as that to begin with will make you more aware of your finances. Knowledge is power, and knowing where your money is going, where you want it to go in the future, is incredibly important if you're going after a simplified life. Money is a core area of life. It makes the world go round. So being on top of this key area of life, being in charge of your own finances is important if you're truly after making your life as simple as you deserve.
The next important area of your life to simplify is your digital life. As technology grows and expands each year, our digital lives become more and more complicated. There's positives and negatives to the fact that there's an app for everything nowadays, but there's no point in denying that our digital lives are getting more and more cluttered, which just adds to our feelings of overwhelm. Things get even more overwhelming when you stop to think about all the apps that are vying to hijack your attention. Entire teams of people are working to make your devices and apps as addicting as possible. Because of this, it's become harder to be intentional with our devices, and sometimes we'll find ourselves spending longer on them than we would otherwise like. This has been one of the areas I've really focused on improving. There were days after spending way too long scrolling TikTok and Reddit that I just found myself feeling drained and like my mind was in a fog. I've been hard at work decluttering and simplifying my phone and removing the apps I never use and those that don't bring me value. I haven't removed every single app I still enjoy visiting from time to time, but I have removed them from my home screen and made it so that if I do want to scroll for a bit, I need to open my app drawer, scroll to the app I'm looking for, and go from there. I found this has made me much more intentional with how I've used my phone. Instead of waking up and scrolling first thing to try and wake up only to leave myself mentally zapped, I hold off on using my phone the first part of the day, and after I sit down for breakfast, I might pull up Duolingo for my daily Spanish lesson, then start work for the day. Simply by tidying up my home screen, making certain apps harder to access, I've freed up a lot of time, energy, and headspace, and I'm so glad I did. No matter what kind of device you have, a phone, laptop, or a desktop PC, there are huge benefits to taking the time to simplify your digital life. Remove those apps you never use, hide the things you spend longer looking at than you like, and help your devices be what they're good at, being incredibly useful tools that help you navigate today's digital world.
Next on a list of things to simplify, simplifying your schedule will change your life. With more and more things vying for our attention, it's normal to feel overwhelmed, like there's always something to do, something to attend, and like you can never keep up on the treadmill of life. Here are some of our favorite ways to keep our schedule manageable and stay on top of life. First up, identify your top 3 most important tasks each day. We call these our key 3. You can do anything, but you can't do everything. This is something we've had to come to terms with since Josh and I left our 9-to-5 office jobs and started our own businesses. There is always something that needs to be done, whether it's work related or simply taking care of things around our home. There's a never-ending list of things we want to pile on our to-do list. But having a list of things that's multiple pages long is a ticket straight to feeling overwhelmed. So when you're writing your to-do list for each day, think about the most important 3 key things that you should be doing. Write those down first. Once you're done with those key tasks, then feel free to add more if you're feeling up to it. But these are the most important places to direct your energy and focus. From here, block out some time in your calendar to work on those tasks. This is called calendar blocking. I always find that if we don't schedule it, it doesn't get done. So take your 3 most important tasks and set aside some dedicated time to focus on them. Literally plot them into your schedule. We use Google Calendar to practice calendar blocking, and it's revolutionary. Simply knowing you're going to spend time working on these 3 priorities is going to make you feel much more on top of life. While you're working on your most important tasks, make sure if you want to simplify your day-to-day life, you're monotasking and not trying to do multiple things at once. We all like to think we're great at multitasking, but study after study shows us that we're not. Instead of doing multiple things well, we end up doing everything just a little bit poorer. If you want to learn more about how monotasking can help solve your overwhelm, we have a video on that topic right here. Make sure that with all this newfound power and productivity that you schedule some regular breaks and downtime for yourself to recharge and avoid burnout. Remember, you can't pour from an empty cup, and the best way to stay on top of your schedule and life in general is to make sure the best, most rested version of yourself can show up each day to lead a simplified, intentional life.
Next on our list of core areas of life to simplify, nutrition. One of the most dreaded household questions is easily, what do you want for dinner tonight? It's the never-ending conundrum that plagues adults everywhere as soon as we move out of our childhood homes the first time. Having all the freedom to eat whatever you want, but when that time of day rolls around, you suddenly forget every single food you've ever loved. For us, thinking about what we want to eat for dinner every single night used to be like wading through quicksand. Fortunately, we've come up with some great tips and systems to make this as easy as possible. The most important thing we found is to make a meal plan and stick to it. Take the time to jot down your favorite healthy meals, assign these meals to a specific day of the week, and bam, you've got your meal plan. Jess and I have done this and even gone the extra step of printing out and laminating our favorite meals and sticking them on our fridge. This takes away all the decision fatigue that comes with meal prepping and massively simplifies our grocery shopping. We know what we're going to eat for the entire week, and we no longer need to navigate the existential crisis that comes with the question, what do you want for dinner tonight? While you're making each meal, we found it's a good idea to cook a bit extra so you can either freeze it or put it in the fridge for later. This is a great way to cut down on time spent cooking because hey, you're already cooking anyway. Plus, you can take care of tomorrow's lunch or next week's dinner after that big day at work where you know you're going to feel like eating takeout. Jess and I always double our meals to ensure our future mealtime is taken care of, and it's such a nice feeling knowing that we have some delicious ready-made meals stocked away in our freezer when we really don't feel like cooking. Lastly, after you've planned out your meals and you're about to go grocery shopping, make sure to write a list. This goes a long way to cutting down impulse purchases and saving you money. Plus, we all know the decision fatigue that comes with wandering the grocery store, desperately trying to remember what ingredients you have at home and what you actually need to buy. Jess and I use a shared Google Keep Note, which automatically updates on each of our phones whenever we add anything to the list. This way, we never run into a situation again where we each bought a bag of potatoes. Food is one of the key areas of life where you can either make things harder for yourself or you can simplify things and make them easier on yourself. Stay tuned for future minimalist meal prepping videos.
Number 5 on our list, another important area of life to simplify is material possessions. Our possessions or our stuff has a way of piling up in the background until one day you look around and find stuff piling up to the point where you're drowning in it. Clutter is anything you don't love, need, or use. By only keeping the things that you genuinely love, need, or use regularly, you will drastically simplify your life. It's a good idea to get into the habit of donating, selling, or throwing away the things that don't bring you value so they don't pile up. Even if you're not using something right now, there will be someone out there who would love and cherish it. Just know that minimalism isn't about getting rid of everything you own that isn't absolutely essential. People like Joshua Fields Milburn and Ryan Nicodemus of The Minimalist are on the extreme side of minimalism. But just know that you don't need to yeet 99% of everything you own and only wear black to be a minimalist. Regardless of where you sit on the scale of minimalism, there's always value to be found in simplifying your surroundings and keeping the things that bring you value and joy. Josh and I are cozy minimalists and love being in our home surrounded by our books, blankets, and beautiful doggo Addie. So if there are things that you love and cherish, keep them. Decluttering is all about removing the things you don't value to to make space for the things you do. Here's 3 quick tips to start decluttering. Number 1, implement the 1 in, 1 out rule. Every time you bring something new into your home, remove an existing item. It helps you prevent clutter building up and helps you be more intentional when you're shopping. If I buy this, what am I going to get rid of? This one has been a game changer for us and has really helped keep our clutter in check. Number 2, focus on quality over quantity. Instead of buying multiple cheaper, lower quality items, try buying fewer, higher quality, durable items that will last longer and perhaps serve multiple functions. Think of things like simple, timeless clothing pieces that work for every occasion. Another of our favorite tips is to have a donation box easily accessible in your home at all times. This way, when you find something you know you can declutter, you can simply place it in the box, and when it fills, take it to your local thrift store so your stuff can find a new home. Material possessions take up space, they cost you money, and even if you're not fully cognizant of it, everything you own eventually requires your attention in some way. So it's an important area of life to simplify.
Second to last on our list of key areas to simplify, we have your work life. Everyone's workday looks different, and the best ways to simplify here might look completely different from person to person, but these are some of our favorite tips in our experience to make each workday seem less overwhelming and save more energy for the important things outside of work. First, declutter and organize your physical and digital workspace. We've always found it incredibly hard to stay on track and focus when we're surrounded by clutter. When there's paper piled up on our desks and our file management has gotten out of hand, it's easy to become frazzled and have your attention split. Take the time to clear out your desk and tidy up your devices. It's a million times easier to focus when you're not having to keep that stack of papers from toppling over while typing at your keyboard. Create a simple to-do list. Even just the act of creating a list can make the busiest day seem less overwhelming. Think about your list of tasks and note down what your highest priorities are. Circling back to calendar blocking, like we mentioned earlier, set specific do not disturb times throughout the day where you can focus on your most important tasks. Once you start making progress on your most important tasks, you and everyone else around you at work are going to be much happier. Another great tip we found is to check and respond to emails at dedicated times rather than constantly throughout the day. If you want to get more done in the day, try and stay focused on one task at a time. Monotasking. Whenever you switch tasks, your mind needs time to process, switch gears, and get back into the flow of whatever it is you were doing before. Emails are one of the easiest tasks to quickly switch to, but from your brain's perspective, you're still starting an entirely new task. So find a specific time of day, like just before your lunch break, for example, where you dedicate some time to checking and responding to emails. This will save you incredible amounts of time and mental fatigue. Also, set boundaries between work and personal time to make sure you give yourself enough time to rest. Again, you can't pour from an empty cup, and you need time to recharge. Once you clock off from work, fully switch off. If possible, don't check your emails until the next day, and allow yourself to be fully present with your family and friends outside of work. You'll love it, they'll appreciate it, and you'll protect yourself from burnout.
Last on our list of key areas to simplify, social connections. Minimalism has lessons to draw on in both the physical and non-physical things in your life. A big one you'll start to be more mindful and intentional with as you start simplifying your life in other areas is your relationships. Just like physical clutter, it's easy to go on autopilot and accumulate connections with people who you might not even really align with anymore. The kinds of people who don't share your key values like honesty, loyalty, or integrity. The kinds of people that are constantly negative and zap your energy. Those are the kinds of people you should think really intentionally about how they make you feel when you're with them. What kind of impact they are having on your life. If it's always negative or even toxic, that's where simplifying your list of connections to just those that you do love and enjoy comes in handy. So be mindful, simplify where you can and where you need to, even if they've been in your life for a really long time. That doesn't give them the right to treat you like trash. Life is too short to spend your time and energy on people who don't deserve your light. With today's interconnected world, it's also more common than ever to have hundreds or even thousands of people in your social circle on social media. But just because our circles may be larger doesn't mean they're necessarily more meaningful. Rather than casting a really wide social net, it's better to focus on a select few truly deep and meaningful relationships. Think about those in your life you truly cherish and want to spend more time with. Perhaps even consider unfollowing those who don't bring positivity, value, or light in some way into your life. Social media can be a wonderful tool to connect us to loved ones, and it's an important part of today's digital world. But we need to curate it so the positives far outweigh the negatives. So yes, if you want to simplify your life and bring in some of the great lessons minimalism has to offer to enhance your life, consider simplifying your social connections and being mindful and intentional with who you spend your energy on.
These are the 7 areas of life we think are the most important to simplify, to reduce overwhelm and feel like we're winning at life. Let us know in the comments below, what is the area of your life you want to simplify the most? And with that, we'll catch you all next time.
Bye.
Bye.